Ladies and gentlemen, Big Harry News.
Big Hairy News.
Hey, kia ora koutou e te whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Hairy News. Kia ora, Chewy. How are you, sir?
Kia ora, Pat. Welcome to the headquarters of the digital revolution.
Is that where we are? Is this it?
I think that's the energy I want to bring in tonight.
Okay.
This kind of unhinged. Does it work? I don't know.
Do I need to match it, or should I be
Sure.
the opposing energy, and then we
I don't
end
think
up
you
being?
can. I don't think it's possible.
No, I think I peaked on Monday
it's
night
possible.
when we got very angry. I think that was my peak, and it's been
Yes,
downhill.
Yes.
Kia ora whānau. We are. It's a bit of a casual show, actually. This is like our casual Friday, but it's Thursday. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff tonight. Martin Bomber Bradbury is going to join us in just a few ticks, and we're going to go over kind of a few stories that are going around at the moment. Maybe a bit of an end of the year sort of catch up. We've also got Paul Barlow joining us as well, because the collective is on Sunday night. We just kind of want to know what they're talking about. Other than that, we want to have a look at Karen and the Bush. It's Karen and the Bush, the New Zealand's worst middle of the road radio breakfast show you've ever heard. Later on in the evening, talking about, because they talked about the RMAs and the social media ban and that kind of stuff as well. And look, finally, one very quick thing before we just get into it, whānau, is that I have seen a couple of orders that have come in today. If you've got an order, it's on the courier now. I'll try and send the tracking numbers out to you tonight. But I just noticed, Joey, that we've been getting some single sales over the last few days. But someone just come in and they went to the shop and they ordered 2 items. And guess what I've forgotten to do?
Send them. Charge them.
No.
Package them.
Take the automatic promo code off. So
Oh, for God's sake, Pat. Come on. We've discussed this.
I know. And I only realized it was still on because someone bought 2 T-shirts just this afternoon. And so I guess I'm just giving you a heads up, whānau. New Zealand Post says officially 13th, I think, of December is a cut-off day to receive things by Christmas Day. I will make this commitment to you, even though the last couple of weeks it's been a bit hard with the public event and the Christmas party and all these things going on, that if you order anything today with us, it will be at latest on courier on Monday, right? I make that pledge to you that it'll be on courier on Monday at the latest. So that means you'll probably get it before Christmas. So you don't even need to know anything, but if you buy 2 items, you get the second item or the item of lesser value for half price. So if you buy 2 hoodies, the second hoodie's half price. If you buy 2 T-shirts, the second T-shirt's half price. If you buy a hoodie and a T-shirt, the T-shirt's half price. So there you go. It's because I haven't taken it off. It's still there. You don't need a code. It's all done at checkout. That's why the person who made a purchase got it, because it's just as long as you make it, it's there. And probably your last chance to get merch before Christmas delivered to you. But one other thing, I have a notification that on the 13th of this month, which is in days from now, the coffee mugs are supposed to be arriving at port in New Zealand. So we will probably see those before Christmas. They may not be available before Christmas, but coffee mugs, maybe you should check out some of our best ofs over summer, because there might be a few little opportunities in the best ofs to get some brand spanking new BHN, Nicky No Boats. I can't remember what other ones we ordered, coffee mugs. So there you go. All right, shall we?
Yeah. Yes, that sounds good. I thought you were going to come up with a new ridiculous promo, which is like pick 3, pay for 2, and then you can also pay for the third one.
Buy 7, we'll send 1 to Nicola Willis. That's the new promotion. Buy 7 and we'll send a Nicky No Boats. Let's see if we can set a world record of how many Nicky No Boats T-shirts we can send to Nicola Willis. Buy 6 and get half price off the 7th that we'll send to Nicola Willis. Is that something like that? I don't know.
Oh, that'd get us in trouble.
Anywho, let us start off the lovely show tonight with the lovely people we want to welcome to the show. It is Martin Bomber Bradbury. Good evening, sir.
Comrades, how are you all?
Very well. And also a big welcome to the show. Might as well all jump on at the same time. Paul, the other one, Barlow. Kia ora, Paul.
Kia ora.
How is
I do
everyone?
have to note that Paul is the only one with visible weapons in the background. So,
That's because
I
I
guess
live
that
on the
makes
North
you the
Shore.
sergeant at arms of this meeting.
And I live on the North Shore, so obviously I'm in the area that needs the most protection. That's
What, naval base not enough for you?
I've got to use them against those fucking hornets out there.
I thought you were going. Aren't those ones supposed to be used against the orcs? Aren't those ones that we're looking at?
One is, but the little one is Sting, and the big one is from The Witcher. So it kills the monsters.
Henry Cavill? Is Henry Cavill
Yeah.
the Witcher? Is it any good?
He
I've seen it a few
was.
times and never really,
It was.
because it's become a series as well, eh?
Yeah. He was good. Then the later series they swapped him out for Liam Hemsworth, and it's just not quite the same. And the CGI budget's obviously smaller.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome Bomber. Welcome Paul. Welcome Chewy. Welcome Pat. It's all of us. I thought what we do, Paul, is just find out from you what's happening on Sunday night with the collective, what people can
I
look
probably
forward
should have
to.
looked this up before I jumped on.
Yeah, probably should have.
Well, it's not only our second show, but it's the last one that we're doing for the year. So for us, it's going to be a bit of a look back on some of the things that have happened this year. I think we're really lucky in our show in that we've got some people who have had a really big rise in public personas. People have sort of gotten to know people like Brie, for example, a lot better this year. And we're bringing in someone else this week as well, who's very much in that boat, and that's Tanya Waikato, to have a little
cool.
to her about her list. I mean,
Town's coming on.
she's so smart and so good at what she does and so passionate about what she does. And she's also had a meteoric rise in the public sort of public sphere out there. So I'm really curious to see what the journey's been like for these people, and also to get an idea as to what they expect it to be like next year. Election year, obviously a big year for everyone. You've got people who are running, you've got people who are really determined to try and make a change in government, and people who want to keep everyone informed. So yeah, it's something that we're really looking forward to actually exploring and seeing what we can do to support these people, but also, what they've been through in the last year and bring a bit of light to it.
And the one piece of advice around Tanya is if she's got the guns exposed, like if the arms are out, stay away, because she could body press anyone on the panel. She could bench press anyone on the panel. Right? So just if the guns are out, just be aware that's business time.
Oh yeah, the thing I love about seeing what Tanya does is she brings so much mana to everything that she approaches, and I think that's something that the right underestimate. They don't seem to realize just how powerful a wahine Māori with that kind of mana is when it comes to getting change done, to getting people seeing what issues are out there, and to realizing that there is a better way of doing things. So I think Tanya is, for me, like the pinnacle of what we can achieve on the left and how we can see that make real change in the future.
Hey, Bomber, you've been around doing this activist thing, Marxist thing, whatever you want to call it, leftist thing for a wee while now.
30 years.
With what Paul is now doing and the things that are happening in BHN and the things that are happening at the Bradbury Group, how would you summarize what the state of affairs is like with kind of leftist media at the moment? Not like mainstream leftist reporters, but the world that are people who say, yep, this is my team, and we're producing content from that worldview. What do you think about it at the moment? Do you look at it and kind of, does it give you a nice furry feeling in your heart, which sounds very dangerous, but you know what I mean?
I think that what we are doing collectively is incredibly bloody important. I think that there has to be, if our focus is about a change of government next year, I think that the left has got to reach out to young men We have got to tell them there is a place for them on the left. We've got to bring them back to the fold. If I look at our influence, you know, I compare what we're trying to do up against someone like the Taxpayers Union. Now, those pieces of shit have
I
been
think the
able
technical
to.
term, and I hate using this term, but aren't they fuckers? Isn't that what they're known for this week?
I
Fucking fudge?
I threw my box they sent me into the bin. My fear is that their influence is they have so deep into the mainstream media. We have a real uphill battle. I've written a couple of blogs about how on earth are we going to actually use the existing infrastructure of the left to be able to counter their power. Because do not doubt for 1 second the level of influence they have over policy right now.
Yeah.
And it is truly bloody concerning watching how very fringe libertarian views on almost everything are now just stock standard middle of the road policy decisions by this government. If you look at the insane stuff that they are ramming through, misusing urgency right now, Jeffrey Palmer just decrying this abusive process. If you look at some of these pieces of legislation are the most extreme right-wing stuff we've seen since Roger Douglas, since Ruth Richardson. The emissions for methane, the gerrymandering of the election around the special votes. They are taking it to us. And if we want to beat these buggers, which we really do, we've got to be laser focused next year about talking about issues that really impact working people's lives. I think this is going to be easier for us because the economy is in such terrible shape.
Yeah.
And people are bloody, I mean, they're working 3-4 jobs a week, working their fingers to the bone, and they're going to turn to us as the left. And we have got to have answers to those people about how we are going to materially make their lives better. Because if we don't have those answers, these buggers are going to get a second term. And if that happens, brothers and sisters, they will cement this 19th century white settler privilege into place with an anti-Māori, anti-treaty, anti-disabled, anti-beneficiary, anti-worker, anti-renter, and anti-environment agenda that strangles off the common good for their fucking donors' interests. So we've got everything to play for, you know? So I salute BHN. I think you guys have done such an amazing job at connecting and providing a platform for so many New Zealanders who are angry with what this government's doing. But, you know, we've got a big job ahead of us next year.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, we feel the weight. I mean, just today I was in meetings about, possible events and stuff for next year. We've become for some reason, we've become a Labour Party MP incubators with both Gary P and Craig
right.
Rennie going
That's
for
right.
it. But their two podcasts, there's Big HN, there's The Collective. Who knows? Maybe there'll be something else next year that we're looking at. And what I hear you saying, Marty, is that I don't want to sound cheesy, but they might have all the money, but it feels like we've got the mana, and we've got the authentic story, and
Yes.
the question is, can our story match their millions? And
Yeah.
that might be what.
And I also think that we are in a political landscape now that is shaped by social media hate algorithms that creates an all tribe no village sort of situation. And we have, as much we can't allow our hatred of these pricks to overwhelm our message. We still have to provide. We can make a fundamental change to the way their bills are every month. We've got to be talking about free public transport. We've got to be talking about a government-backed third supermarket player that can step in and actually provide food and kai for people at prices that aren't price gouging them. We've got to talk about how we're going to lower those costs for everyone in New Zealand, because if we don't have that message and it's not clear, we're gonna these pricks will win again.
What you're saying is we got to Mamdani the fuck out of the place. That's basically what
Well,
we've
I
got to do.
mean, and his radical view of using the state to subsidize those cost of living crises that so many people are going through right now. That was popular for a reason, right? It was popular for a reason. And we've got to, I mean, my fear with Labour, and bless, look, I mean, preach love, but their incrementalism is not going to be enough. And with the Te Pāti Māori meltdown, oh, Jesus Christ, it's just so painful to watch in real time. We have to rely on the Greens to pick up that radical agenda and be prepared to challenge Labour. Because if we're not providing a real alternative for people, if it's just a vibe, if our message is we on the left will be slightly less cruel than National in power, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough.
Paul, tell people about how they get to check out the collective this week.
So we will be on here, whatever channel they're watching it on now, essentially. We'll be on all those channels from 7 on Sunday night with, I think it's a full regular lineup in Tanya, all in one place. So that's cool. We like having everybody there. We had a bit of trouble last week with Jordan not feeling 100%. So that sort of threw us for 6. So yeah, pretty much anywhere that you can watch BHN, you'll be able to watch the collective. I think it's the one show on the BHN stable where we don't have hosts that are all podcast award winners. So we need to fix that.
Next year.
I mean, it's just to toot my own horn a little bit. I did get the certificate today saying that I'm a podcast award winner, but everybody else I want to lift up as well. I don't get one of those cool statues.
We can make you one. We just made these ourselves. I spoke to the podcast people today because some people have seen them and gone, where'd you get it from? And I made them for our team for our Christmas party, and I went and checked in with them, and they went, oh, if you know people that want one, that's okay. You can provide it for them, so we can make you one. They're fucking awesome. They're solid native timber, macrocarpa. They've got power inlay, resin lettering. Their choice, bro. They're real cool. Email me. Yeah, email me.
I will.
We'll sort you one out if you want.
I will. Yeah, we'll do it after the show on Sunday, though. We'll get through that first.
Okay. And look, and we're already talking, Paul, just so you know, about next year's Christmas party. And are we going to have another 8 people coming? So we've got to have to figure all that out as well, because we're already at about 22 in the weekend. So we could be getting up to 30 people at a Christmas party. So I don't know how we're going to do that, but we'll figure it out. Bigger venue.
Bigger venue. And outdoor flow.
And some more money. I will leave that.
Yeah.
We'll start charging tickets for it soon. We've got enough people coming to it. You can pay for it yourselves. All right.
Well, if you're an incubator for the Labour Party, surely you could start charging them consultancy fee.
Yeah,
I'm sure
that's
the
true,
Labour Party has money, but aren't they the one that has all the big donors?
I know that I'm still getting my brown envelope from Jacinda, all those backhanders that we're always being told about that we're getting. Are you still getting yours, Chewy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I keep mine down at the docks next to my yacht.
Yeah. All right, Paul. Hey, have a great show this week. We'll all be watching, and thanks for jumping on tonight.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you then.
All right.
Cheers, Paul.
See you, bye. Hi, Bomber.
Good.
Hey, mate.
Long year.
Yeah, to be really honest, I am in love with this. I love doing this. Like I sometimes work 70-hour weeks, and I'm just like I love it, and I've got to a point where I love this to bits, and I'm so looking forward to a break. Like I am looking forward to a break. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Do you know how I'm going to treat it, Pat? There's a military term.
Yeah.
Rest and refit. Oh, nice. And that's how I'm treating it, because next year is going to be a battle.
Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, and we're going up against big money from big think tanks, and judging by what we're seeing on social media at the moment, an absolute flood of talking points that they want to stick in people's brain. And I think the only thing that we have to go against that is shit posting. But more to the point, outside of this, I've mentioned this a couple of times. I mentioned it live at our event the other week. The only real counter to this, and I'll cast this back to the Mamdani thing as well, is authenticity. It's going to be not these big money campaigns. It's going to be all of us talking to people that we know to make sure that we're all on message and that we're not falling for this. It's authenticity is the only counter to this. And for the guys on the left, for Labour, I don't think Greens have this problem, but Labour certainly does. Is that if you're going to try and combat Luxon, you need to be the thing that he's not, authentic.
Yeah. I got a few things that we might chuck at you, Bomber, but you have already mentioned this tonight. The worst kept secret in New Zealand media. I don't know if you know the full story, Marty, but I don't know if you saw it going around as well, but I saw the whole plan of this. We talked about this last Tuesday about what they were going to do. And I saw in 3 different locations on the internet a little jingle they were going to play. This is the jingle they were going to play.
Nicola Willis keeps fudging the numbers with debt she won't discuss. Our economy is shrinking and government spending is up while our wallet can't keep up. Taste her sugary fudge at Nicola's Fudge.
Now, that was rumored to be part of what they were doing. So I messaged Jordan Williams and I said, are we going to play this tonight? Be interested to know if it is yours. Do you want to add anything to it? And he called me straight away. Said it wasn't theirs. We had a bit of a chat. I kind of asked if it's not yours, why do you care about me playing it? Which sort of made sense. And then he said, what do I need for you to do not to play it? I'm like, oh, okay, so it's yours. And then he said, what's your postal address? I've got something to send you. And I said, oh, the fudge stuff. And he went, no, what are you talking about? So just bullshit. And I don't know about your end, but this seems like the breaking of this story has created more of a buzz than the story itself. It does seem to be a bit of a fizzer. So there you go. There's the fudge. You got one of those, did you say? They said they were sending them off to, valued commentators and da-da-da-da.
I threw it in the bin because, why the hell would you trust something that was sent out to you by Jordan Williams? I mean, this is a fake debate from a fake union. Ruth Richardson debating Nicola Willis over who has vandalized the economy worst is about as intellectually, rigorous as David Seymour calling out his own name during orgasm. I just think that we've got such an incredibly narrow libertarian view of what's going on. Look, I and you guys have been bloody vocal about how ridiculous it is that this government has borrowed more than the previous government. And the point that we make, so, don't pretend that Labor is an economically, good manager when this government is borrowing far more than they did. And the difference being, of course, Labor had a once-in-a-century pandemic that we're dealing with. That's why they borrowed more. What this government has done is it's borrowed $14 billion for tax cuts we couldn't afford, another $3 billion for landlord tax loopholes, $300 million for the tobacco industry, and $200 million for gas and oil, plus $6 million for Michelin stars to come over here. So while all the time hollowing out public service budgets. Now, that's not the debate that's going to be had between Ruth and Nicola. The debate between Ruth and Nicola is who can be more damaging and amputating of the state. So the actual issue at hand is not the borrowing. The issue is what they're borrowing for. But that's not a debate that's going to happen here. And I think the PSA are absolutely correct when they criticize this as simply a means of moving the Overton window all the way to the bloody act. This is an ACT party stunt, effectively, that the Taxpayers Union are promoting and pushing. I believe quite passionately, and I'll be putting up something over the weekend on this on the Daily Blog. If this bloody thing goes ahead, it is an obligation to whichever city is hosting it that the rest of us turn up and protest like hell. How dare these two, who are the biggest architects of neoliberal damage this economy's ever seen, just be able to get together and have a little chat and a debate about. Fuck off. We have an obligation to turn up and have our voices heard in absolute protest at the carnage, the social carnage both of these people have wrought upon this country, and they don't get to just have a nice little chat. Screw that. We need to turn up and disrupt it.
And it's fairly clear, as you've just said, that this is an act psyop, if you will. But
Right.
does that mean, because, you know, perhaps up until 18 months ago, does that mean, give me 1 second. Does that mean that they have now thrown everything in with ACT? So now is now the Taxpayers Union more, well, because it would have been more national aligned when there wasn't 11 or 12 ACT MPs, but this is them actively saying we are now ACT. I'm going to have to go and do something. I'll be 1 minute. You guys can chat that over, and then when I come back, remind me to talk about the Overton window. I'll be
Sweet
back.
as. Joey.
This better be something important. I hope his house is on fire.
Oh, yeah,
no, I don't
yeah,
hope that his
yeah.
house is on fire. That's too far. So I thought that I had about this whole fucking evil finance minister smackdown. Do you think this is an opportunity for them to try and make Nicola seem more palatable, more moderate?
Oh,
to
Jesus,
the centre?
yes. Jesus,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, it's Hemlock versus Poison Ivy. Who, you know, I mean, they're both terrible human beings who have done terrible bloody stuff. And it's this constant push. I mean, Nicola Willis has already said last month that they're looking for even more cuts to public services, even more, you know, to balance the books. So it does make them look more moderate to everybody else who's watching. But it really is an absolute assault on our democracy, our understanding of what our democracy should be, what we should, the egalitarian principles that underpin this country are absolutely up for sale. And I think that ACT with their final TVNZ poll this week, they have really come out on top. They're in double digits now. You know, the polarization of the debate is working for them. It's working for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
I
what was
agree
it,
with
Pat?
everything
Was
that's
it
just been said.
Was it a blocked toilet or a kitchen fire?
No,
or...
it was a 16-year-old who just got home and then was going out again, and I wanted just to make sure I put my tracking tag on her. I wanted to I wanted to say as well, I think sometimes it's good to take a step backwards. Do in the Overton window, because you hear that a lot. There will be some people watching right now who won't quite get it. I think it would be
Absolutely.
And the way I understand the Overton window is it's basically what we accept politically, like good, like let's say liberal, conservative, progressive, right, far. The window is what we accept. So moving the Overton window means it goes somewhere else on that continuum that we then accept. And the example that I've always thought about or been told about when talked about the Overton window is, women getting the vote, suffrage. The Overton window was women do not vote. And then the Overton window shifted through policy, through what society thought, what society wanted to shifted. So you had the continuum from women don't vote to women only vote. If that's the continuum, it shifted from women don't vote to women vote alongside men. And that's the window. It's what we accept in society from within our politics. So when we hear them saying shifting the Overton window, so what ACT is trying to do is shift that Overton window to make it that like privatization is now what we all accept, as an example. That's how they're shifting it.
Yep.
Is that a fair way of explaining it, Marty?
Yeah. I mean, on the left, it would be a case of arguing for a wealth tax and ending up with a capital gains tax. You know, you make the case over here, and then you kind of get something close to it.
Yeah.
And what they're doing with this debate, the way they're promoting it, the way they're promoting that libertarian view of property rights über alles. Take an example of the RMA changes. The way that's being sold is we're helping the little Kiwi battlers be able to build their deck without the council giving you that's how it's being sold. Bullshit. What they're actually doing is they're going to allow mining companies, big dairy and big polluters to go just romper stomper on environmental concerns. You know, the real agenda is that, but they're selling it as the little Kiwi battler who just wants to build his deck without the bloody council. You know, that's how they're selling. But the real, you know, what's really happening is it's for big polluters.
Yeah. You talked about the polls. That was something else I kind of wanted to talk about, because that One News poll, we haven't, it's not that we haven't covered the polls, but we've always kind of gone, oh, you know, seats in the House, who gives a crap 18 months out. But I think the last poll going into the holidays before an election year, that's when you start to kind of pay attention to it. Now, I'm still confident in saying that TVNZ poll was currently the outlier. We've even had a Taxpayers Union poll come out that kind of more says what the trend is, but we won't know until the first one of next year whether it's the beginning of a new trend or it is indeed an outlier. No matter what, whether it's an outlier or not, to go into summer with this idea that, I mean, that gave the Right Bloc a 14-seat majority. You know, to go into the holidays with that. So all the conversations around the barbecues, all the conversations around the coffee tables, all of those conversations are going to be, oh, the left doesn't have a chance. And as we know, as we talked about earlier this week, Marty, research is clear that there is a percentage of the population that will vote with the winning side because they want to be winners.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
Yeah. So
The
thoughts?
Greens really took the Greens really took a body blow in that poll, and I genuinely found that surprising because you know, they have been staunch and they've been on message. I think that they've had a lack of media oxygen, but also, you know, one of the problems that we've got here, with 72,000 Kiwis leaving the country, a big chunk of that demographically is younger, and a big chunk of young votes Green. And this is a problem. And I put this to Marama Davidson on Tuesday night's show about is this going to be an ongoing problem for the Greens? If you've got so many people who are fleeing the country because they just cannot see an economic future here. How do you counter that? And I think it will require them to have a really strong presence in Australia in terms of their campaigning to try and harvest as much of that overseas vote as they can in Australia.
Yeah. I wonder as well, this kind of ties in, I guess, to the Te Pāti Māori in that vote as well. You know, riding high at 7% 12 months ago after the Hikoi, down at 1%. Now, on some level, the party vote doesn't really matter for Te Pāti Māori because it's the seats they win. But when you go from 7 to 1, it's significant. And I do have a question for you, Marty, because you had John Tamihiri on.
Yes.
Maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, and you talked to him and basically said to him something like, you know, some guys tried to overthrow you in a coup. You mentioned, do you still think that today, or as the time gone on, have you? Because where we are is a lot of is like, it's like 2 of your mates are both fighting. You can only ask one of them to the party. Who do you ask them to? You don't really know. But back then, it seemed you seemed to be saying that those quote unquote rebels with trying to do a coup. But what do you think now that it's been another month? Because I feel like it's different today than what we thought in those initial stages with us, which would have been the beginning of October.
My position still stands. My understanding of the entire fallout dates back to the Treaty Principles referendum protests. Some of those involved in that within the Māori Party, Maramino, Doc, Uru, and others around them, they really saw the success of that protest as a success for the Māori Party and their view of tikanga, rather than what I always believed it to be, an amazing buy-in from across civil society, Pākehā, Pacifica, gay, union, churches, NGOs. There was an enormous group of New Zealanders who weren't Māori Party voters and they weren't Māori Party supporters, but your enormous cross-section of New Zealand civil society that stepped forward as one. Māori-led, no question, it was Māori-led, but an enormous cross-section of New Zealand coming in saying, actually, the treaty matters to us. Actually, we care about the treaty. It is our founding document. And I fear that there were some within that group who it's not a case of going to their head, but they felt that that success was more a reflection of their own particular values. And there was some push and shove right after that within the Maori Party about being much more tikanga and sort of focusing on that and going down that road. That was pushed back from the Maori Party leadership. They wanted to go from being a party of opposition activists and was starting to firm, and this was the whole reset idea. They wanted
Yeah.
to firm themselves up so that they could say, hey, we can be a trusted member of a new government moving forward. Supply and confidence can be trusted with us. That was where they were shaping. Then that sort of got out of the people who were sort of more focused on the tikanga element. They were quite frustrated with that. And out of that, this quiet move to try and do a challenge on Debbie and Rawiri's leadership. Now, personally, this is I'm not a Māori Party member. I'm not a Māori Party voter. But I personally felt that Debbie and Rawiri deserved loyalty for the work that they have done this year. They didn't deserve plotting. When John Tamahiri found out about the plotting, when he was tipped off about what had happened, somebody who'd been on that phone call called him and alerted him to what was going on. He responded, as John Tamahiri does, with napalm, with absolute bloody just fire and brimstone. And the focus has been on the process and criticism at JT for that process not being tikanga enough. Whereas I think the problem was people were putting their ego before the waka. They aired a whole bunch in front of the marae. And that just the self-mutilation that has gone on after that point, fired up by social media, really. It was people telling their own truths as subjective as they were, and people getting fired up on either side, and it's imploded in this terrible, terrible situation. Some Māori Party voters will say, well, you know, you're Pākehā, what have you got to do with this? Keep out of our business. But we've consistently seen with the polls, the only hope we had of getting to 51 was Labour plus Greens plus Māori Party. And everybody opposed to this government do feel quite connected to this bloody situation. Because and this is, oh, Jesus, it's my greatest fear, is we're going to be locked into the situation if the Māori Party can't somehow pull up from where they've fallen. It's either National Act and New Zealand First again, or it's New Zealand First, Greens and Labour. And let's be honest, after the pain and trauma we've had of this government, Labour, New Zealand First and Greens, that's barely a better situation, you know?
I'd be surprised, I'd be surprised if Hipkins would sign on to that. But then again, you know, to get the big seat, who knows what some people do? Is it better to have a bad situation and be on the inside and make the rules?
And that's right, and that will be what Chloe Swarbrick and Marama Davidson will be served up with, and that's what Chippy will be served up with. Winston will simply say, hey, it's either me or I go back to these buggers for another 3 years, right? And that's just, I mean, that will be such a dead rat for us all to have to swallow. So what happens inside Te Pāti Māori impacts us all enormously. And that's why they all have to pull their bloody heads in, get back into the waka and start rowing in one direction.
And obviously the one thing that may happen is if you've got independents running in Māori seats and you've got Te Pāti Māori running in Māori seats, then Labour will just come up the middle and there'll be no overhang.
Bang, 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 you know? So, I mean, strategically, tactically, this has been a terrible way to end the bloody year.
Chewy, you've been bit quiet over there in the
Counter
corner.
argument.
Yes.
I reject any poll that has the Greens at less than 15%.
I'm not sure that'll wish with the electoral commissioner when we're counting up the votes. No. I want to see 1-5. Look, I think the economy is not, we're not seeing green shoots of recovery. I think we're seeing dried snot of desperation. If you look at a whole bunch of economic indicators, things are very damaged out there for people. The extra loans that are happening at the moment are not business loans; they're bloody personal loans. If you look at the liquidations, they're through the roof. If you look at the unemployment rate and the underemployment rate, the 600,000 Kiwis need food banks every single bloody month. Look, there are some New Zealanders who are doing well, but they were already doing well. The vast majority are not, and I don't see how allowing rich overseas millionaires to buy $5 million mansions is going to kickstart the bloody economy. So people are going to hurt going to next year. The thing that's really surprised me this week was all of the surprise that our new ice queen, our new Nordic ice queen Reserve Bank governor, she with glacial ice in her veins, the surprise that she might put the OCR up. If anyone has been listening to what she has been saying since she was appointed, she has talked about being laser focused on inflation, laser focused on inflation, laser focused on inflation. Well, how is she going to do that as the Reserve Bank? She's going to raise the OCR. So all of those people who have mortgages, who have just kind of felt, oh, thank God, I'm just keeping my head above water, and those slight reductions have meant a couple of extra thousand a month in the bank account. Look, that's going to go next year. Because she is going to put the OCR up, and the whole economic argument of National, which has been we've lowered your mortgage rates, vote for us again. That's going to be a difficult song to sing when the OCR starts going up next year.
So we need here like this conversation of the government bloc and Labour debating the economy in the same terms, in interest rates and OCR and all of this sort of stuff, is a loser. It's an absolute loser, and I just want to shake people, anyone, strangers, maybe we'll get to that, to say you need to tell people that all of this stuff, yes, it has an effect on their life. But it has a bigger effect, as you said, on the people at the top end of town. Turning around and going, hey, look, you voted for National because you don't think Māori should have any say in water, or you don't understand trans issues, or all of these sort of things pale in comparison to the fact of, have you looked at your shopping bill? Like, this is something that affects everyone, right? We get a pay rise at work this year. Was it more than inflation? Did you have any interaction with the healthcare centre? How are your kids doing at school? These are things. It's not about the unemployed. It's not about the blue collar worker. It's not about the lanyard worker. It's not about the white collar. It's everyone. These are all interactions that we all have. But I see Labour especially running headfirst into a fight that they have lost before, and they just don't seem to be learning the lessons that are out there. We've already referenced Mamdani's campaign. I'm going to reference fucking Keir Starmer in his race to fade into a certain shade of wallpaper and never be seen again. And we know that Labour has a lot of advice coming from Labour UK, and I just think they should sit there and go, you guys are fucking hashing this out as well. We'll take it from here.
And you're absolutely right, Chewy. This is the fundamental problem. Labour are focused on trying to win back that soft blue vote. People who voted for Jacinda in 2020, but then voted for National in 2023, 15% of the vote. And they're trying to bring that vote back softly, bringy, monkey over. And they're doing it by incrementalism. They're listening to Keir Starmer. They're not listening to Mamdani. They've rejected that. It's very incremental. It's very safe because they've just got to try and win that centre. And that's fine and dandy. If that's where Labour want to be, great. Somebody's got to do that job. But then the responsibility goes to the Greens to really have the much more radical agenda. And the reason why I thought, for all our progressive hopes, a Labour a Labour Green Māori Party government getting to 51% was really what we all wanted, was because in my mind's eye, we were going to see Te Pāti Māori and the Greens form an alliance, a negotiating alliance as you go into, and actually force Labour at the negotiation table into actually doing some really progressive stuff. And I mean, some of the Māori Party economic package and some of the ideas that they want to go with, a financial transaction tax, forcing ACC and KiwiSaver to invest much more into the New Zealand economy, their top tax rate. I mean, they were focused on really pinging and hurting the poor. Pinging and hurting the rich to be able to provide for the poor. That was something I thought would be, fundamental and important if we want to see some true progressive policy passed. But without the Māori Party radicalism there, it's going to be up to the Greens to do that. And that's going to be made so much more difficult if New Zealand First to have a part of that government, because Winston will be a handbrake to almost everything that Labour and the Greens would want to do.
The other thing is, we talked about this exact thing last night, Marty, about the Labour's got to almost release the Greens to be those radicals. But if they're going to do that, Chippy also needs to fucking stop shooting them down. Oh, it's a bit far fetched. Like he's got to stop. He can't cut the legs out from under them being radicals, because they need them to be the radicals to pull the vote in. And we've always said that I've always said, I might be wrong, Labour's job is to sort of get that central position back and maybe drag some of those stragglers back. And the Greens' job is to activate that far left base that don't vote. And the way you activate them is to give them stuff that excites them. And if they're giving you stuff that excites them, and Chris Hipkins is going, well, not under my leadership, it's just like, just shut up. Just say negotiations happen after the election. Just say that, there's give and take in forming a government. We'll have to see. That's not our position, but we'll have to negotiate with them. We're going to get some wins. They're going to get some wins. You don't have to immediately go, oh, nah. You know what I mean?
And this is this is really the challenge, I think, for the Greens. I think they're going to have to be a little bit more punchy, slappy with Labour next year, to be completely honest. Whenever they criticise National, they should also add, and Labour's not much better. I just think they've got to constantly niggle that and force that issue. There has to be some creative tension there, some ideological tension between the two parties, or we're not going to get the kind of... People have done it so hard now for 2 years. If we can't provide anything meaningful to those people's lives in terms of the material betterment, why are they going to come out and vote for us? They won't. They won't come out and vote for us. And in terms of the cultural stuff, our message has got to be clear. It's not some kid down the bloody road who's transitioning who's your enemy. It's not some Māori who's your enemy, or an environmentalist the enemies are who there's always fucking been: the banks, the corporations, big dairy. We've got to have an agenda that really pings those buggers.
Yeah.
But class war.
Let me just say
No
one
war
more
but
thing.
class war.
Let me say one more thing, because there's a bit in the chat, a couple of comments that are flowing past talking about Labour. Labour's not looking for my vote. That's why they speak like that. I'll just leave it at this. If anyone in Labour makes a statement that if you didn't know whether it was Labour or Luxon, that's the wrong statement to make, Labour. That's all I'm asking for. Don't make statements that people could go, oh, was that Luxon that said that? That's all I'm asking for. That's it.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you, because we're talking a lot about Labour, because we always talk a lot about Labour. Do you think the Greens have learned any lessons from this government and their minor parties? Because it seems to me like there's a lot of wag the dog going on, and it could be a function of a incredibly weak leader that can't negotiate for shit in Luxon. Or it could be those minor parties just know the leverage that they have and have used it like no other party before it.
I think it's a difference between the right and the left. For us, we call everyone together, even our enemies, and we debate and we argue what we want to do and what's the best for everybody. And we take into account their concerns, right? We take into account the concerns of the right. When they are in power, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about our position. They don't give a fuck about our values. All they care about is their donors' interests, right? And then ramming that through legislation without any discussion whatsoever. We try to build, they burn. And that's the difference, right? They don't need to build. ACT isn't building anything. New Zealand First isn't building anything. They're playing to the petty bigotries of their rump voters, and they're more than happy to let the whole fucking thing burn down. What we try to do is we try to build, and we try to build using consensus, because we believe that consensus building is the way that you do good governments. I've always felt, fuck that. First 100 days, you have your agenda and you ram that bloody thing through. They play that game, so should we.
It's that example that you're speaking that we often say is that the left make policy and the right respond to policy. The right don't do any policy at all. They just respond to policy. Also made me think for the first time, Bomber, we all agree, and we were talking about this with the Taxpayers Union, what the Taxpayers Union is doing at the moment is not what the Taxpayers Union wants, it's what their donors want. So it's like what donors are telling, that's what, so if the big payoff is to the money behind the right, that's what they're making policy for. It feels like what we're saying is the equivalent to that on the left should be the vulnerable. I mean, that should be, we make policy for the vulnerable. You guys make policy for the millionaires and billionaires. We make policy for the vulnerable. And maybe if the left, Labour included, got their head about vulnerable first, that is literally trickle up, which is the opposite of trickle down. That is literally we're only as strong as our weakest link. And if their filter from now on was, what does the most vulnerable need out of us? That would be the kind of policies you'd see coming through that would get people voting for them.
Well, I mean, like Labor's good for capitalism, National's good for the capitalists. And you know, we try to build an economy that actually builds for everybody. They don't give a fuck about building for everybody. They care about making sure their donors are looked after. And so, you know, where we need to be is we need to have real solutions and real policies that show people it's going to cost you less. You know, it's got to be material, and we've got to be clear about how we're going to fund that stuff. Labor, you know, bless them, they keep telling us they want stronger public services, but they're not prepared to tax to ensure that we get those public services. We need a whole bunch of new bloody taxes that are focused on those parts of the economy that are damaging. We need a new gambling tax. We need a new tobacco tax. We need a sugar tax. We need a financial transaction tax. Go after the speculators. Go after the areas where they're generating revenue at the cost of the wider society. And if we're not prepared to do that, then we can't promise those better health services and those better education services and the better infrastructure. I mean, I think the Greens policy on the green economy, where, you know, we're talking about 40,000 new bloody jobs, that matters. We should be talking about a legal recreational cannabis market because of the extra revenue and extra jobs that's going to be creating. We've got to be looking at where the opportunities are for us to be able to grow an economy that works for everyone. And it can be done. It can be done. It's not some bullshit pipe dream. It can actually be done. But when you do that, you go up against this big money. Now, I know from some people inside the Labour Party, when I bring this up to them and go, why the fuck aren't we having a go at the rich? And they kind of come back as, well, if you make it too blatant and too open, they'll go to war with us. And I'm like, dude, they're already at war with us, for Christ. They've picked a side. They're on the battlefield rolling the tanks on us already. It's not, oh, if we do anything negative, they might, you know, get angry at it. Fuck, they're already here. They're already here.
It does make me think as well, if that really disappoints me, if that's what's coming out of some within Labour, because think about, you're talking about them needing to be subtle enough to be clever. Is this right-wing racist government subtle enough to be clever? No, they're blatant. They jump up and down. They punch, they scratch, they kick, they bite, and they win. They win.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time, but I can remember back in ZB days, and that was 2003, 2004, 2005, being very clear that the right do politics better than the left. The right play dirty and the right win. The left play nice and the left lose. And if the left, I don't even think we need to go as dirty as the right necessarily. But if they just got to, if they got to
dirty, but play hard, right?
play, well, but I mean,
we're going to go after the billionaires, the 14 billionaires who live here. We're going to go after the 3,100 individuals who have over $50 million each. We're going to do that. You know, that's what we should be doing. But we're too, you know.
It feels like also Labor's lost a little bit of its roots. And I think that happens with age and distance from your origins as well. But I remember at the last election, me and Shui said this a lot. There was that, you know, the feel of the CEOs poll came out, and Luxon jumped up and down with celebration because, you know, the CEOs didn't like Labor, and Labor should have gone, yeah, that's because we're for the people on the factory floor. You can have the CEOs, we'll have the factory workers, but they just didn't. It's such an, like National is giving you your talking points, but they still won't do it. They still wouldn't do it.
This is the energy that I want from the Labour Party, and this is a big wish list. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but yeah, when you're talking about remember the roots, everybody goes, oh, you know, Labour organisers and that sort of thing, the unions. No, I'm talking about someone kicking in the factory manager's door and going, me and the lads have been having a chat, and you've got to get out that fucking window. You know, that's where the Labour movement started. Like, historically around the world, you had, the cops and the army have shown up, so I've brought a bunch of guns. We're going to thrash things out. That's where the Labour movement started from. And we've distilled it down to going, oh no, we're doing proper friendly politics now. And we're going to do that all the way until the heat death of the planet at this rate. And we're going to be both talking about delivering value for the shareholders, and we've got to consult with stakeholders and that sort of, I don't know why the oceans are boiling. Was anybody paying any attention? But Pat, I think you're 100% right that we have two styles of government that are literally polar opposites. You've got down, and they're telling the guys in the middle, we've got to do it this way because one day you'll be at the top end of town. And then the left side of things is going, we've got to look after the vulnerable because you could be one of the vulnerable. You know, that's what's more likely.
Yeah, but also
your job
not
disappears, or you get sick and you run through your savings in a month and you're out on your ass, or you're hobnobbing with the Mowbrays in the North Shore Club.
But this is the thing,
what's
Chewie.
more likely?
It's not what's more likely. It's what's more believable. And for some reason right now, what's more believable is the story about moving up through the class ranks, because that's why they won.
Right. So then that's the thing. It's if you're talking to someone that is going, I don't think this capital gains tax is very good. The question is, how many houses do you own?
Yeah.
Because if it's not 5, then why are you defending these people? You're not one of them. You're not part of that club.
And I think a lot of that has to do now with, you know, you've always had poor people who are easily to manipulate, who vote against their interests. I mean, look at Three Waters and the fiasco that became. You know, what National have put together is so much more expensive. What Labor was trying to do was sort the issue out over who legally, you know, what legal interests Māori had in water, which was a high court reality that they had to look at, and how to lower the cost to everyone. Yet it was sold as the Maoris are stealing the water, and people bought into that. And now they're getting rates rises that they go, well, why is my rate going up? You know, well, because we just threw out the solution, mate. And,
we told you.
I think, well, and that's part of the problem. We've become so isolated as communities. I mean, if you look at the massive drop off in trust of the mainstream media, if you look at the massive drop off in trust of institutions, and then you align it with the loneliness levels, right? We have just a pandemic of loneliness. And people, even though it's a 24/7 connected world, they feel more lonely than ever. What I think is the most important part of what BHN does, and what you've done, is you've created a community. You've created a group of people who come together every night and they feel connected. They feel a solidarity between each other. And that, I think, is ultimately going to be what we require for next year. It's that sense of community, giving people who are lonely a connection, giving them values, giving them a place where they can call their own. Because as we are, we're so disconnected from one another that it's easy for the social media hate algorithms to take over our brains and just rot them out,
Yeah. No, and look, that's one of the things I've learned most about this is the audience we've got here in the community. I mean, you've done radio, I've done radio
Right.
for a long time. Nothing like this. Never experienced anything like this before.
Yeah.
And the most gratifying thing is, as you were going through that big spiel about community, we had 666 live viewers. Just saying.
That matters.
Just saying.
That matters, right?
Yeah, and they come
that's why
every
it's
night,
important.
every single
Right.
night. These darling people
Right.
will finish the show with
Yeah.
"See you tomorrow," and then should we go?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you guys again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hey, I think, Bomber, what we should do though is maybe wrap this up with one other question, and it's
Perfect.
basically a question to you, which is, what have we missed from this conversation? Like, what are the things that we haven't talked about? What's the issue or the looking forward till next year? Or what's the thing that we need to wrap up this with before we say Merry Christmas and see you in 2026?
Look, I just think the welfare sanctions that they have brought in against the weakest and poorest amongst us this year is just it's heartbreaking. It's fucking heartbreaking. So many beneficiaries are finding they can't get any aid, can't get any help. They're left. There are so many of our brothers and sisters who are now being forced out onto the streets and who are homeless. On top of that, the devastating attack on the environment that this government has done over the last 2 years. This is probably the biggest climate denial government we've ever had. There are so many of our brothers and sisters who are poorer than us who are just holding on by their fingernails. And I know it's hard to find hope, and I know it's hard to stay optimistic and chipper and put that extra energy in, but as much pain and as much alienation as we all feel right now, and the people who are watching right now, there are so many of our brothers and sisters who are doing it worse than us, and we have got to remind ourselves we're the lucky ones, we're the blessed ones, and we're going to take that energy and make sure we commit to one another that we won't just leave them alone, that we walk with them. We're New Zealanders. Egalitarian means something in this country, and take that rest, have some time off over the holidays, and get that energy together, because Jesus, we are in the fight of our lives next year, brothers and sisters.
It's so very true, and I know that I don't know how you feel about this, Marty, but I've given up on making predictions. But it does feel it's actually a bad thing to say this out loud that it kind of feels margin of error with how bad this government has been. How the hell can it be margin of error when they're as bad as they've been, whether it's the debt they're running up? Much like you've said many times along these lines, Bomber, is this government opened the door to all of these things. They 100% own this economy. As you said, and as we've been hearing the last few days, they have borrowed more. They have spent more, than the previous government that they're criticizing for borrowing too much and spending too much. And the last guys had a pandemic to deal with where they kept 20,000 people alive. The money they borrowed allowed us to stay home and get well. It saved fucking businesses, Mr. Luxon, and it ran up debt because of it. I'm okay with this. Big tobacco, big oil, landlords, I'm not okay with running up the more debt for that trio, that unholy trinity.
Yeah, but we have an IKEA now. Let's not be too harsh.
It's woke, though. Have you seen that today? It's woke. They're already talking about woke IKEA. Though there's certain.
Hang on. Are you telling me, Pat, that the Swedes are woke?
Apparently.
Their flat pack furniture is woke.
Look, here's how I see it. We're a better people than these assholes pretend that we are. We are a better people. When I interact with Kiwis out in the world, I find a generous people, I find a funny people, I find a kind people, and I refuse to believe that the troll bots that are out there spreading hate and malice are really people who I know, who are really people in my community. I want to believe in the betterment, the better nature of our angels, and I want to believe, and I know that we have mana as a people, and I won't allow these national New Zealand First national Act New Zealand First assholes. I won't have them pervert and mutate my people, the countrymen, my neighbors, my friends, my whānau, my community. I'm not going to believe that they can twist us that badly. I will believe in our goodness. I will go out. I will bloody call on them to stand with us to get rid of these, because there is a better way, and there's a better way of being. And we need to remember that.
Chewy, wrapping up with Bomber, anything, sir?
Yeah, like just to piggyback off what you say, there's so much of, well, especially, well, all of them, Act New Zealand First National, so much of what they've done in this term, my gut reaction to it is that I utterly reject this vision of New Zealand. It doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't ring true to me. It doesn't have a vision of the future that I agree with. Like, it's an utter rejection of it. And
Preach.
I see so many people that have been activated that feel like they need to do more, like actually put boots on the ground, and like the Hikoi at the start of the year was the most phenomenal political
Right.
show of force I have seen in this country for the longest time, and I think that's why the utter dissolution of that momentum that had with Te Pāti Māori's implosion. I think hurt so much.
Yeah.
And I think with that the feeling that or I guess the hope that all of those people that were activated with that will just latch on to another thing. I think that's false. I think the risk there is people will go, but they were my hope, and if they're not there, then I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to transfer my vote to someone else, and that is a massive risk for what we want to have happen next year. No. So we need to build that same level of momentum. We need to bring so many people with us. And as I've said, this show out in the world, shit posting on National's Facebook page or Act's Facebook page is not going to cut it. Agreeing with each other in our chat section and on the live chat is not going to do it. We are going to have to agitate as much as we can wherever we are. Make it real.
Preach.
Take people to the polls, talk to them about these issues, not in a preachy way, not in an aggressive way, more like, have you seen this? Are you aware of this? What's life like for you now? You know, as Craig keeps on saying, do you feel like things are back on track for you personally? Do you want to give these guys another turn at the wheel? No? Well, then this is how you change it. If you're in a position, volunteer for the party that you agree with most. If you're in a position, donate money. Like you look at the war chests that the parties on the right have and who's contributed to them, and you compare that with on the left. That's billboards, that's ads, that's workers and campaigns. It's a bottomless chest on the right. They've got money. We have people.
Yes.
Now, where you are right now, I want you to look around and just realize when I say that the people have the power, I'm talking about you. And I'm talking about the people that are in your house, your flat, your workplace, people power.
Amen.
It's tried, but it's worked historically.
No.
It will work again. It will continue to work.
I mean, when you see those big wins in America, like an AOC or a Mamdani, they always put it down to door knocking. Like they always put it down to door knocking and talking to people in the electorate and educating them one-on-one.
Yes.
So exactly what you're saying, Chewy. People power.
Yep.
And I mean, that flows quite nicely back to the origins of Labor and the various political parties that have the ideology with the people power.
Throwing factory managers out windows, 2026.
Hey, Bomber, it's been an absolute pleasure. We should do this more regularly.
You guys are such a fucking inspiration. You have built BHN into a real vehicle that gives an enormous chunk of New Zealand's population a new way of seeing and understanding the political situation around us. Your bullshit detectors are just incredible. You've done so much in terms of unpicking news. I just want to pay, so much respects to both of you. I know, Pat, some time ago you were quite despondent and wondering if you should throw it all in. And I just think that you have bounced back, my brother. You have shown such incredible moral and real leadership. You too, Chewy, to be able to make BHN the thing that it is. And I just think that you guys have done such an amazing job of being able to create an online community to understand politics in this country. Just all strength to your arm. If there are people who are watching right now and you're able to buy a hoodie, you're able to buy a shirt, do it.
It's truth. Didn't even have to pay him for that, Joe. That wasn't bad. Thanks, Bomber.
Always, brothers. Always.
We'll talk to you super soon. If it's not before Christmas, have a good one. And we'll see you in 26.
Have a great Christmas. Peace on earth to all people. Try and spend it with your family and your whānau. That's really where it matters. Love each other, be kind with each other, have an amazing holiday and break, and fucking come back to fight next year.
All right, dude. Be well. We'll talk to
See
you
you on
soon.
the barricade.
All right. Thanks, Bomber.
Sweat as.
There we go. I mean, it wasn't me saying go and buy a t-shirt. So, if you want to disappoint Bomber, just kidding, whānau. Let's have a look at a ton of messages that have come through. I apologize. Peter says BHN Awards more legit than the FIFA Peace Prize. That was so
Have you
funny.
seen that? Have you seen it? Though?
The funniest, the hands.
of hell coming
But
out to strangle the world.
Nothing is sadder.
Jesus.
Nothing is sadder than a man putting a fake medal around his own neck. Honestly, it's the worst.
Thought these
thing
guys
in the
didn't
world.
like participation awards.
Exactly. Speed says a 1950s jingle for a 50s political agenda. That's talking about the Taxpayers Union. Laura says fake debate with fake ministers hosted by a fake union, cheered on by fake libertarians. At least the protest outside the event would be real. Yeah, it's very good. I now kind of want that to happen in Dunedin so we can be a part of it, actually. So they should come to Dunedin and have that debate and we can be outside. Nicola did say, to any of these media thought, so there you go, BHN. What about we do it on BHN? Happy to do that? Yep. No? Yep. No? Lurchi says, Te Pāti Māori, it's all about party discipline. Did Chris Bishop go to media to pull down the National Party whare after he failed in his coup? Kai Mātara says, National likes ACT because they make National look normal to swing voters. Labour missed that memo with the Greens, apparently. Yeah.
Yep.
100%. And look, let me just say it again. I mean, I'm not anti-Labour. Labour will be leading for the foreseeable future. Labour will be leading the next round of left government. You can't be anti-Labour and want the left to succeed. Labour has to succeed for Labour has to succeed for the left to succeed. But I will stand by what I said, and I think I described it and explained it very clearly. I don't want to hear anyone in Labour, mostly Chippy, big man in charge. I don't want to hear him saying stuff that if you just saw the quote could come out of Luxon's mouth. That's all I'm saying, right? And he has said things like, it's a bit unrealistic when the Greens were talking about something that could come from Luxon. That's all I'm asking. That's not a very high bar for not throwing not your potential partner, your only political partner under the bus, right? That's it. And I don't think that's too much to ask. That's all.
here's my Christmas wish. I
Yeah.
just wish people would realise that there's more than two parties,
Yeah.
and that there's more than one party on the left.
Yeah. Some other ones that I actually missed are at the top. Gold says 373 days at most, but hopefully 324-ish. Oh, compromise between Gold and
It's all changed.
and Craig. It's all changing. Big Hairy Bingo, 4x4. That was the start of the show from Dresnort. Laura says Tanya is the real Sergeant of Arms. I see what you did there. That's a good get for Sunday night, Whānau. You don't want to miss that. You know, Tanya's always on fire. She's a girl on fire. Sorry, I just watched the 4 Hunger Games last week, so that's in my head at the moment. JC and the Pigeon Cats, I reckon Luxo letting ACT set the agenda was always part of the deal. The funders demanded and Nats actually want it, but pretend to be more centrist. Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting thought. Overred Rover, why do the left need to be diplomatic? Brian Tyler Cohen. Alas, that video brought me to this channel a couple of years late. Well, welcome. Welcome anyway. It's good to have you on board. Imagine that. What would 2 years worth of late fees look like? Holy mackerel. Kai Martana says, Labour forgot that you can push radical policies if you have strategic messaging. I mean, Harry Holland was a literal Marxist and made Labour a majority. There you go. James says the kind of country we're talking about, good public services, everyone looked after, will be good for everyone, rich bastards and the rest of us. Good chat, fellas. Toe Taco, Bomber. Merry Christmas. Toe Taco. Pete says, I'm so worried about AI slop in this election ahead. Yeah, that's probably a fair worry. WOM campaign people, word of mouth. Get out there and talk. Don't join BHM, Bomber. You'll be running for Labour. Yeah. People will be scared to come and work with us now because what does that mean? It's like when you become the CEO of Air New Zealand, you have to become, it's in the contract, national leader. If you work with BHM, you have to end up running for Labour. Did I say leader of Labour? Leader of national. That's what I meant to say. Kiwi Planner says, as my organiser always told me, power comes from and organised people.
Oh, that's good.
You like that one?
That.
I like that one. Any risks from you, Chewy, before we go into sort of the
I
only
just
sort
want
of...
to say that whole chat with Bomber was invigorating.
I feel like he did actually match your energy that you started the show with. And I just kind of watched from the sidelines.
Like it's quite funny. I've mentioned this before. Bomber's quite an important person as far as influencing me to get into broadcasting. Originally, I used to listen to his Youth Talk Back show on Channel Z back in the day. So I'll take that. Let's have matching energy. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I appreciate you saying that you don't want to make predictions. I kind of want to.
You're welcome to.
Our hit rate's been pretty good.
No,
Like on the show as a whole. Well, we didn't say we're calling it now Labour with a total majority, did we?
No.
I don't think we went into that one particularly confidently.
No. I mean, like, I'm only saying that because I'm normally wrong, and then you look like a fucking goose. And so I'll just like...
Someone roll back through the thing and find out what we were saying just before last election.
And I think about the American elections as well, and like all the polls were talking to Kamala and that kind of stuff as well, and nope. And, you know, it's just...
Oh, yeah. America's not a real place, though. The rules don't apply.
Oh, it's not. That's why they all do so well on Twitter, because it's not a real place. Like Twitter's not the real world. That makes sense now. All right, let's have a look at the world's worst middle of the road breakfast music radio show. It's Karen and the Bish. So this morning on breakfast, I think it's Chris Chang asked the question of the RMA, and he basically said, oh, we've heard lots from you, Minister Bishop, about the RMA, so let's start with Karen. What are your thoughts on the RMA, Karen? That was basically the introduction to this conversation.
Oh, well, I mean, he said he was going to do something and he's done it, so good on him.
Bit of Christmas cheer, come on.
I think that's what they call damning with faint praise.
It sounds like it. You'll say that, wouldn't you?
The fact is that the RMA was reformed under the last government because the RMA was not fit for purpose, and we've always been critical of their decision not to, if they must change it, leave it as it is and amend it rather than scrap it completely, go back to the old RMA, which no one liked, and then take 2 years to replace it. So where we've landed, we are broadly comfortable with, but the process to get here, we've been very critical of.
Which is an interesting way to look at it. It's fair, obviously, but now that they've landed, because I did hear some commentators in the last couple of days talking about this really needs to be a bipartisan passing of the bill now. Now that they're landed, are we therefore saying Labor's all good with this? I mean, we were talking to Rachel Brooking the other night and I was like, I don't hear too much about protection for the environment in this. I'm concerned that if a council gets in the way of development and developer can prove that it's financially impacting them, the council will have to remunerate them, which means, of course, councils aren't going to want to get in the way, which means are we going to see, green belts wiped out from here on in? But it sounds like from what Kieran's saying, it's like, we're okay with this, which I don't know if I'm surprised with or not, but that feels like the vibe.
I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. I think Labor also acknowledged that the RMA needed some reform.
Yeah.
If they had a chance to reform it, do you think we'd have this fantastic with some absolutely unhinged help from ACT, like? If an environmental protection comes in and you reckon it might have harmed your business if it existed, then the council, who we've cut funding for, by the way, has to pay for it, is just insanity.
Yeah.
It's unhinged stuff. And to do it in the way that they've done it just exacerbates that. I don't think that if Labor were in government that it would be done like this.
Yeah. Yep. All right. No, fair enough. Because then they do get onto the conversation and they do talk a bit about our environmental protections as well.
Is there consensus around the assurances around environmental protections with the reform, Chris? There's a little bit of apprehension about whether actually that'll still be in place.
Yeah, I think that's an issue that we're going to need to work through. I mean, I understand the concerns from some that there's not enough protection. What I would say, though, is that we don't have a clear system of environmental limits at the moment. We have some limits and some science-based limits around nature and things like that, but it's pretty all over the show, to be honest. One of the features of the new system is quite a comprehensive set of limits. That's been a bit missed in the coverage, which is fair enough. I'm not having a go at anybody. There's a lot to digest. So there's a chance in other stakeholders to try and fashion something that works for everybody. The thing with this stuff is you can't keep everyone happy, right? I mean, if everyone was happy, perpetually all the time, it wouldn't be, there'd be something wrong. Something would be, it's just impossible, right? So you can't keep everyone happy. What you can try and do is make sure that, there's at least a broad consensus on it's the step on the right way forward, and that's what we're trying to do.
It is weird basically saying if everyone was happy, there'd be something wrong. I don't think that's necessarily true. I'm sure at times you can make everyone happy, but obviously when your leader says compromises both parties losing rather than both parties winning, I guess that's the attitude that comes from the big chair. Chewy?
Yeah. No, it's strange. Everything's strange and weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Everything's strange and weird. Nothing makes any sense.
Now,
Mum,
come and pick me up.
I actually think we solved the social media problem last night. I really do. I really think it's as simple as what we decided, that you, like a radio station, like a magazine, like a newspaper, like a television station, the platform, whichever it is responsible for what gets said on the platform. So if you're listening to a talkback radio station and a talkback caller slanders someone on air, the radio station has some responsibility in that. So the solution seems easy and clear to me. The solution is make social media platforms responsible for what gets said or done on the social media platforms, exactly like radio, exactly like TV. Then watch how our comments, etc., get moderated. Then watch what happens when there's racist, abusive, threatening things on them. Then they'll have to deal with them. And look, I've thought about this over the last 24 hours, Chewie. That's the only answer to this. It's the only answer. It's the only answer to this is make Twitter responsible, liable, legally responsible for the words that are said on Twitter. Like TVNZ is legally responsible. That's why when I can't remember who, someone, well, I might have been, I don't know, was it even Chantel Baker? I don't know. Someone took TVNZ to court for libel or blasphemy or boo-boos or something about something that was said in an interview. So, yeah, I think it was actually, because, or was it something? Anyway, it was one of the guys or girls from the Disinformation Network said something that someone considered was libel in an interview on TVNZ. TVNZ was a part of the case. They also got taken to court, right? Libel on Twitter, Twitter should be a part of the case. Twitter should be part of a responsibility. That's the answer. So I don't think we need to play this, but I've got it queued up, so we might as well have a look at it. They're talking a bit about the social media ban in Australia.
Social media. Australians now have this ban in place for under 16s. Are we going to get something like this in the next year or so, Kieran?
Well, it's up to these guys. But if they do, we'll be. We're certainly watching it really closely because we know that the online situation with social media can bring significant harm. And that's actually, no one's immune to that. It can bring a lot of harm regardless of your age, but it can bring a lot of harm, especially to younger people. And it is world leading, really, what the Aussies are doing, and we're watching it very closely. So the principle we are broadly supportive of, how it is implemented is actually the key as to whether it works or not. So the government have signalled they're interested. We have said, yep, we'll work with you on that, but let's actually make sure we take the lessons from overseas as to what works and what doesn't.
Chris, is there a way we can do this where actually the government's putting a bit of heat on the big tech companies too?
Yeah, and I think if anything happens, inevitably that's what will end up happening. I mean, I think Kieran's right in the sense that Australia is actually, taking one for the team, so to speak. They're going out early and seeing what they can do, and there's a big song and dance yesterday around it. But I also saw a lot of things from young kids saying, well, I've got around it, I'm on, it hasn't worked. So there's obviously going to be some teething problems. I mean, nobody else has done this, and it is complicated, obviously. So let's wait and see how it goes. There's a select committee inquiry underway. There's obviously a members bill in the ballot. Erica Stanford's doing some work from a ministerial point of view. I know Labor's got a members bill, not specifically about this, but about something else. There's an ACT Party members bill. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. And I think, next year you'll start to see that play out a bit. And personally, I am keen. I am really keen on doing something, but it has to, it has to work. It actually has to be effective, and that's what I think we're watching Australia quite closely for.
Well, this is not going to be effective because, as you've just said, a VPN or something's going to get around it. I think we've just explained in great detail at the start of this clip the only effective way. I mean, put it this way, I challenge you to come up with a best, which is holding the platforms liable for what's said on the platform. That would be a better solution for that. Like, I can't think of one, and I've been thinking about it for at least 25 minutes.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you considered it like a newspaper and you had an opinion writer that put out something that defamed someone or incited violence or whatever, it would have had to get past the editor. But if they went and published it, it would be the newspaper on the
But the difference with that is if you've got the opinion, then they're probably employed by it. The thing is, a letter to the editor also could be also could be a non-employed person in that newspaper that drags the newspaper into it. Like a talkback caller could drag the radio station into libel. Like an interview could drag TVNZ into a court case. So even think about it beyond like what a reporter would say or a columnist would say. Like people who use that platform, who aren't a part of that platform, can still cause that platform to be somewhat liable. That's it. That's the answer. I'm sorry. That's the answer. If anyone's watching from Labor and you're in government next year, that's the fucking answer. And that will clean up social media like that overnight. It'll clean up social media. Because do you think they want $50 million fines? Of course not. Of course not. Hi, Chewy.
Hello.
I have
So
an
we can
apology
put
to
that
make.
in the solved bucket, eh?
Yep.
Yep.
I have an apology to make. I sent out some invitations to 496 patrons yesterday. I think that's our number. And I put the link to the meetup, and I forgot to put the time of the meetup. So some people have been asking me. I have just actually messaged 496 people again. In fact, I might have to go and check that because I think it was only 495 yesterday, which means one person's probably just got a message that says 11 o'clock Saturday, but doesn't have the invite. I'll go and check on that. So yes, if you're coming to the meetup, the online meetup, the virtual meetup, and you're a paid up patron, you're an active paid patron, then 11 a.m. Saturday morning. I've now sent you a second message, and that will. Oh yeah, Jake in the chat, email us please if that's the case, because I sent it to every active patron. That means you can't be a free patron. Patrons are the people who are contributing. So you need to be a contributing patron, and you need to be active, meaning some people used to be patrons who are still on the Patreon system, but they are no longer contributing. So just to make sure, if you didn't receive it, email us, because I can't go through 496 examples to see if everyone got it. If you haven't received it and you want to come and you're a paid up patron, mail@bhn.nz. Let us know. And also just to remind you not to necessarily do another advert, but because Bomber just brought it up, I'll leave this until, I don't know, who knows? I'll do it over the weekend probably. The idea that you can still get half price off your second piece of merch, because I haven't got around to turning it off yet. Next week it's going to be fully exciting. We might have some coffee mugs finally next week, but I do not guarantee we can get those to you before Christmas. Obviously, but we might be able to order them and show you them before Christmas, so we'll see. Speaking of Christmas, this is our last show for this week, I think. Is it Thursday, Chewy?
Yes, it is Tuesday, my dudes. Thursday. Today's Thursday.
Freak me out like that. Next week, our last show is on Thursday. The Friday Night Kids will join us on Thursday, and we'll all wrap up together on Friday of next week, and I'm going to drag it out off the camera tomorrow. On Friday of next week, rather than a Friday night BHN show, a bright hairy lights. Is that what it is? Bright hairy nights, big hairy nuts. What do they call the one? Anyway, wow. We'll be playing the public meeting from last Friday. Now, I just will put one caveat in there. We'll be playing the public meeting if it recorded properly. I haven't even had time to look at it yet. So if it's there and it all recorded, Friday of next week, so 8 days from now, that'll be playing out. If you're a patron, it'll be on the Patreon site as soon as I've put it together, which I'm going to start doing it tomorrow. If it's an easy edit, might be up tomorrow. If not, probably in the weekend. All right, Chewy. Anything else, sir? Anything else I've forgotten?
No, I don't think so.
Over Red Rover, SCOTUS are yet to decide on TED a fake. Are you going to decipher for me, Chewy?
I think you got it pretty close, but I would like to buy some vowels.
I'd like lots of vowels, please. SCOTUS, right? Got that far. Are yet to decide. Got that far on the fault of Socrates' medieval affairs.
Oh, look! I'm sure the U.S. authorities are really going to crack down on it because the social media companies really didn't contribute any money to Trump. They've certainly not bent the knee. They've stood strong.
Yeah.
For freedom of speech and stuff like that. No, I'm sure that'll happen.
What responsibilities do telcos have with their traffic? That's an interesting question. Like, I'm assuming, so this is to counter my own argument. I'm assuming Vodafone's not responsible for what's said across a Vodafone network, are they?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting one. Like I know about telco's responsibilities when it comes to like bullying or stalking, harassment, that sort of thing, which is very definitely a crime. You know, it comes under misuse of a telephone and the actions that a telco has to take once someone brings that to their attention. As far as being the method of transmission, like, yeah, I don't know. I can't see how that would be enforceable at all. Like, can you imagine if it's like, yeah, so Spark, one of your customers used a wireless connection to make a post on Facebook that called for the overthrow of a government or said that trans people should be turned inside out. You know, it's, yeah.
We've had clarification on that post. SCOTUS is making a ruling on social media culpability for teen suicides, which they back Trump to kill. Gotcha. Thank you, younger people. So as far as I know, FAFAIK. SCOTUS are yet to decide on the fault of social medias, as far as I know. See, we got there. This is why we're a community. I think we're done, Chewy. You think we're done? I think we're done?
Yeah.
I think we're done. I think we're done.
The traditional... We still need to do merch that says New Zealand's best 90-minute news hour.
I think I still want to do doing stupid shit so you don't have to since 2021. I like that one a lot.
Remember the feedback we got when I wore that OG T-shirt when the left vote, the left win?
Yeah.
Chewy come back. We're going to have stickers of that, actually.
When the left vote, the left wins T-shirt on the Friday night. And I think it got mentioned by almost everybody who was speaking when the left votes, the left
They're
wins.
like, oh, is that new merch? And I was like, no, very old merch.
OG. That's so old I wouldn't even know how to do it because that was with the previous owner.
That was the first run, wasn't it?
Probably. Yeah, probably. And we will still have to do Hey David Edits, hopefully on the way. Oh, Donna, that's no good. Donna's stuck in traffic. This sucks.
Where?
Hopefully you're not watching us. Hopefully you're listening. Watching would be wrong. So there you go. All right. Were you going to say something? We have two before I push play?
Oh, I said we have two speeds. We have legitimate, like political manifesto type ideas, like the left win, if the left vote, tax wealth not work, tax wealth not work, all of that sort of thing. Or, yeah, just shit posting.
Yeah.
T-shirts that say David Seymour's a real dick.
He's a real dick, bro. He's
a real dick. He's an egg.
Duck. You're an egg owl.
Oh.
You're a duck.
Yeah.
Fucking egg. Eat ass. All right. I will see most of you, hopefully. Everyone who's watching, I expect. What is there? 552 of you, all to be on Zoom on Saturday morning. We appreciate that. And other than that, we will catch up with you next week with the next show being Monday night with us at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So tomorrow night is the last Friday night show with the Friday night team. On the following Friday, hopefully we'll have the open meeting as long as the actual video is there. And I know how to get it out of our new camera, the BHN camera. I'll play. Maybe I'll have to call the help desk, Joey. Where do I just shake it and it drops out? What do I do? And then whatever I was just talking about. I'm sure it was important, and my talking is now finished. Oh, the other thing was Sunday night. Sunday night for the collective. Sounds like it's going to be an absolute cracker.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hit, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a war
I don't know how I feel about keeping it hairy. How do we feel about that, Chewy? Keep it real and hairy? I'm not sure if I'm not quite sure what that means. Any words of wisdom to wrap up with tonight, Chewy?
I've used them all earlier in the show.
As have I.
Have to rewind and pick out which ones are most appropriate.
Ta-ta, everybody. See you next time. Goodbye. Hooroo.
Stay cool till after school. Cheers, fam.